This episode of Off the Cuff is brought to you by Weaver Simmons, and we're very pleased to bring it to you. I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to Off the Cuff. Been a while. I'm Matt Butler.
I'm Darren Johan.
What you been up to, Darren?
Not much these days.
Not much? Yeah. Not much?
No. Wishing that robots could parent for me sometimes. It's been a bit of a challenge the last 6 months.
It's funny you say robots and parenting. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence today. See what we did there? See what we did?
In fact, we may have used robots to write the script for this episode.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
But that being said, this new advent in the last 6 months that we were gone, I think what we were doing is just taking some time to let the robot thing fester. And now what we've learned is that they're going to take over the world.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. However, maybe not take over the world right now, but I think I don't know if most of you have seen, but a lot of you might have seen that there's been a real uprising, we'll say again, maybe poor choice of words, of artificial intelligence in everyday life. Anyways, yeah.
And you can see it in your home. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys have Google Homes and you have Alexas and you have all these things. You can clap your hands now and turn your lights on. And so those are all forms of artificial intelligence, right? You say, hey, Google, play this song. That's a form of artificial intelligence. If you know it or not, you're using it in your daily life.
If you have an iPhone and you have Siri, that's artificial intelligence right there as well.
And you know what the scary part is?
What?
They're always listening.
Yeah, that part always creeps me out a little bit. Because you can say, hey, Siri, where's my phone? I don't even know where my phone is. It may have actually heard it.
I think your iPad lit up.
Are we going to hear? No, we don't hear it. My phone's in my pocket. But it's true. Those things are always listening. And everybody's been sort of like, what is artificial intelligence? Because we've seen the movies, it takes over the world, takes over banking, all these things. We're not there yet.
Right?
iRobot, that's a great
movie.
Great flick. Movie. Eagle Eye, Shia LaBeouf movie.
Maybe we should just do movie reviews. Thumbs up if you want us to do movie reviews.
If we get 10 comments saying that, this is a movie review podcast from now on.
At least one movie review episode.
Anyways, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, drop us a note.
Yeah. But so we wanted to discuss artificial intelligence today. We wanted to sort of talk about our experiences with it because we've had, limited experience early on, which was, I think, late last year, early this year, with the rise of ChatGPT. And then as that's progressed, there have been some unbelievable advancements and unbelievable programs that can assist a lot of professionals, and most importantly for us, the legal profession. And it's been an absolute whirlwind of trying to navigate those this new technology and this new sort of avenue that lawyers and other professionals can use.
Yeah, and again, with everything, you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? Because you have to be cautious in using this technology. And as it advances, the more advanced it gets, the more it tries to predict human behavior or pretend to be human-like. And you can go down a blurry line of what you're doing. So just for those of you who don't maybe know what ChatGPT is, because Matt referenced ChatGPT, that was the AI tool that lets you type in something into this. It's the best way to think about it is like a chat bot.
I think that's a great way to put it.
I think that's a good way to talk about it. And basically you can ask it a question, or you can say, hey, can you write me a song and give it the parameters of the song? And it'll spit out lyrics to a song that it just comes up with.
And almost instantly.
Yeah, I don't think it takes very long.
No, because I remember I was first starting to use it because someone had told me about it. I was like, I gotta check this out, and it was very much like a dialogue that some people have had with Siri. I'm sure you've done this too. Tell me a joke, Siri, and she tells you a joke. But with ChatGPT, you can actually say, summarize a book in 500 words. You can then say, draft me a contract about something, and it does it. And the first time you use it, you go, especially for legal documents or legal terminology, you sort of need to tinker it a bit, and you'd have to look at it and modify it. But as it got better, these types of, you can say, I once tested out saying, draft me a property release clause for separation agreement in Ontario. And with those parameters, it drafted something that was fairly concise. And in comparison with our drafting, was fairly close to bang on getting it like perfectly accurate. And that was in the first stages of it, which is incredible.
Yeah. And, you know, building off of that, of course, companies now are specializing in AI legal research and AI legal memos, and you can ask these artificial intelligence bots to create you, like Matt said, agreements or letters or case law research for you. And so there are things that in our profession, it is coming in, and we have to be, you know, not only cognizant of its availability, but then you also have to be wary of its use, right? And so it's one thing to use this carte blanche and then not question what's coming back to you. And I don't know if people have seen, but in New York, there were lawyers sanctioned for using fake cases that ChatGPT actually presented in a brief. So these lawyers, I believe the context of the case, and I'll put the link in the description.
An aviation case, huh? Something like that?
Yeah, something along those lines. And I think truly what it was is that there was so much document review or something. There was a lot of it was a heavy paper file that and the lawyers were like under a time crunch, and so they decided to use this ChatGPT tool, provide the parameters, and generate whatever memo or brief that they needed for court that day, and it actually came back with some cases that were fake, and so in the article, judges actually, once it came out that this was fake, what happened was the lawyers were questioned. They were actually deposed and they had to sign affidavits. And finally, the lawyer who actually was the one in, you know, sort of trouble for doing it, admitted that he, you know, took a shortcut and used ChatGPT to get this thing done. And so, and that's of course in the United States. So, you know, you could take it with a grain of salt because, of course, we're in Canada. But they were fined $5,000 by the court, so they had to pay like a contempt order or like similar to that for misleading the court, and then also misleading their lawyers on the other side. Because you can imagine if I'm on a file and I say, "Here's some case law that supports my position," the other lawyers
You can't find it,
and then the other lawyer on the other side is, "Okay, I can't find this case that you're referring to. What are you even talking about?" And I think in this case, don't quote me on it. I read it a while ago, but it was like they had presented some Chinese case law. It was like they had pulled international case law to support their position, and then the lawyers on the other side showed up to court and said, like, "Judge, we can't find these cases. Like, we don't think they exist." And then that's kind of how they went down that rabbit hole of trying to figure out, okay, what happened here? What is going on with these cases? And then they finally figured out that ChatGPT just made it up.
And that's in an odd way. It was the perfect, because it was very early on in ChatGPT. I think it was like a few months or a couple of months after sort of its launch. And excuse me. And with that, the early warnings were perfectly set out, where AI isn't a replacement, or artificial intelligence isn't a replacement for the work that we do or other professionals do. And that's the perfect example. ChatGPT is a tool that can be used, could complement your practice, complement research, complement drafting. But if you start relying on that completely, this is the early signs of what can happen, where if it just makes something up, well, then what is truth? And we're not getting philosophical here, but what is truth? What is evidence? And what is the best sort of advocacy you can bring forward with your case law? It's incredible. It's an incredible example right away.
Yeah, and it's such a good point, because I know some of you out there are doubters, and actually between the two of us, I think
you're more skeptical and you're more technologically savvy than I.
I'm more skeptical of this whole thing. I'm kind of scared of it because, well, I'm old, and you know,
you're not that much older than me. Relax.
Yeah, you're right. But I feel old because everything hurts now.
Okay, that's
okay? You know, everything is sore. I'm getting rounder. It's just a bad situation.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay,
all right. Anyways.
You're right. Probably let's get out the weight.
Anyways,
weight is not an issue here. So, back to what I was talking about is I read, you know, there are various, I think, legal research programs that have adopted ChatGPT, and I read some of the research memos that you showed me that it generated, and I was impressed. I can't say anything otherwise. And now, that being said, though, two things have to happen. I think we learned our lesson from that airline case that I was talking about in New York. Number one, verify the sources, obviously. And it can't replace human. It doesn't replace critical thinking necessarily.
That's true.
And it doesn't replace what a lawyer can do for you. What it does, and I think I'll put the positive spin on it rather than the negative, saying, "Oh, we don't need lawyers anymore. Please still use us." Like,
No,
you need us.
you still need them if you have a legal problem.
But what it can do is reduce your costs as clients. Because instead of spending 8 hours on a research memo
or a week,
or
these large
sure.
research projects sometimes take a long time.
Yeah, and I don't think the general public necessarily appreciates that. And, you know, the CS are like, lawyers, they charge a lot of money, we don't need you, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes a lot of work goes into those memos. Not sometimes, a lot. Like, that's what we do. That's our job. But it takes time. Yeah. And in our profession, time is money. And money is something that our clients have to spend to get the results. And so instead of us spending 40 hours at my hourly rate of $350 an hour trying to figure out a legal question for you, we could spend, you know, a smaller amount on the program. It could generate a memo in a very short amount of time, which, number one, it reduces the time taken. It also reduces the time spent. But then also it helps narrow the issues for us as the lawyers, the humans reviewing this stuff. And it gives us the ideas and the flavor text as to what to do next potentially. Or it might discover a case that we hadn't found ourselves just through using our own tools. But then it also has reduced your costs because you're not spending all that money on us doing the research.
So
and
perfect. Yeah, it's a perfect
I think that my hesitation has always been like, how do you replace humans? How like we are needed, and I don't ever want a situation where we feel like we're redundant. And I don't think that ChatGPT or these AI tools make us redundant. With that being said, I think probably time to take a break, and we'll catch you right after.
Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe.
Do what you got to do to keep us around. Okay. And we're back. So I just wanted to piggyback off what Darren was saying about ChatGPT, AI, and, you know, the dangers of it. Is that something that I mentioned earlier, that these tools are good to complement what lawyers do, like what we do. Like, for your research, it helps your research. For drafting, it helps your draft. It doesn't replace it. And that's one thing that if everybody goes, oh, you know, our careers, our profession is going to be overtaken by robots. There's still advocacy that needs to be done. There's a human element to things. There's always, you know, the actual issue of justice, where, you know, Lady Justice, is she back here somewhere? Well, we don't have scales of justice here, but justice is blind, but there's still a human element to it where you can't just put in intervals in a computer and then all of a sudden it pops out the perfect response. And I think you found a case about this specifically.
In the United States, of course, because this is where the sort of tech evolution is happening.
And it's where crazy things happen in court. Yeah, it just is.
They just do some weird stuff down there. So in January of this year, in fact, a robot lawyer was set to argue a traffic ticket case in February. And so it's this company called Do Not Pay. And they had created this robot who was powered by AI, who basically was equipped to listen to what's happening in the courtroom, generate a response, and then regurgitate the response back to the court.
So essentially they'd be able to advocate given the information.
Yeah. And again, I'll put a link to this article below too. It's really neat. And the owner of the company actually was threatened by the state prosecutors, saying that they would put him in jail if he showed up to court to fight this traffic ticket with this robot lawyer. And so
for what though? Does it say for what?
It doesn't say for what. The tweet says, or now formerly Twitter, now X. That happened while we were gone, apparently. Elon Musk, man, I tell you. it just says bad news after receiving threats from state bar prosecutors. It seems likely they will put me in jail for 6 months if I follow through with bringing a robot lawyer into a physical courtroom.
Oh, the state bar prosecutor.
Do not pay is postponing our court case and sticking to consumer rights.
So it was the state bar that took issue with
the state prosecutors, and they were saying we don't want this, probably because they were afraid they might lose. I don't know.
Well, could you imagine in the early like that was the early days
That was
of
like way early, yeah.
that a robot beats them in court? That would not have been good for lawyers.
What do we
altogether.
operate on all the time? Precedent, right?
Yeah.
So the lawyer or a robot beats these two state prosecutors in court. Then all of a sudden you have questions of whether or not robots are going to take over advocacy. And then you have people, we already have, a big self-represented population doing their own legal work. And then all of a sudden now then you and I are fighting robots in court. So I think that the fist, anyways, just pull the plug. Right?
I think so.
Yeah. I wonder, that might work. But yeah, so that it was just an interesting little thing we came across in preparing, just looking at, what are lawyers going to fight back or are other professions going to fight back, right? Like, do you want a robot cutting you open?
Oh, wow. I don't know about that.
Do you want a robot performing surgery? Is a robot's arm more steady than a human surgeon?
That's a good question.
Who's going to nick the artery there? More likely. What are the odds? Baseball guy.
What do you mean? I'm not an analytics guy. It's like watching baseball. Get out of here, man.
What do you mean you're not an analytics guy?
Yeah,
you live your life on stats.
No, but it's an interesting thing. Yeah, it's true. It is an interesting thing. At what point will AI, I don't want to say cross the line between what humans can do, but it's a great question. And like in our profession, there's a legal podcast. We'll talk about in the legal profession, but in our profession, like we've already seen the advancements it's done in a year. Mm-hmm. And we were just discussing, like, what if someone comes in with a laptop in court, self-represented party, and it is regurgitating advocacy or just giving them, tidbits on how to prepare their case or advocate for their case.
And you know what our out is right now? So I'll tell you guys the little 411 about what our out to this is. You're not allowed to record in courtrooms.
That's true.
So
under the Courts of Justice Act,
the Courts of Justice Act prevents video and audio recording. For ChatGPT and robots to function in the physical courtroom, they need to be able to record.
That's 100% accurate.
Regurgitate. And that is, my friends, are out.
That's true. Section 1, or I'm forgetting what section it is, but it is in the Courts of Justice Act.
And it's a criminal offense.
It's a criminal offense, yes.
And that's why the state prosecutors threaten jail.
Well, we don't know if they have the same issue, but they probably do.
Here.
Yeah, then it leads to the question about it doesn't actually record, it just listens. Because we bring our phones in, like Siri.
Phones are listening.
That's an interesting issue. We didn't even talk about this before. No. You're getting this in real time.
I just made that up.
Well, you didn't make it up. Yeah, it's true. The Courts of Justice Act issue is real. No, but it's true.
Look it up.
The limits of AI, we don't know yet. We don't know at what point, what point it will be a full takeover of sorts. But for now, the tools are awesome. They don't replace people. They help them. They assist them. And don't be scared of it right now. But always check your sources.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're not making stuff up.
And if you're in law school and watching this, I urge you to not use this to write your memos and assignments.
No, you still need to, you got to know how to be a lawyer first.
And part of it is, what you know, you've been taught what you know. And these are, again, I always say that these are tools, right? They're tools, one tool to assist you in becoming a better version of yourself, right? It's not meant to replace you. It's meant, I think that if you're going to look at it from a holistic approach and you're going to look at it from a acceptance approach, I think we'd be remiss to not accept its sort of advancement and accept that it's coming. I think what we need to do as professionals, and not just us, I mean, all professions, you take a guarded stance, but you also have to welcome in the advent of new technology. And perhaps it's for the best, perhaps it's not, but that's why the human element still exists. And I think that's why the human element in our profession will always exist. And we have little laws that help us out along the way.
That's true. And to piggyback on that, adaptability is huge in every profession, but especially ours. Like since COVID, our profession has changed drastically.
And I would say I would say for the better.
I think the majority of the changes have been for the better. They've been for access to justice. They've been to ease entering into courtrooms, whether it be by Zoom or other means of communications, which has been, I think, a welcomed presence with its downsides here and there. But adaptability is necessary in any profession, especially ours. So this AI technology, as much as some people may push back, you may be left behind the 8 ball if you don't sort of adapt to these new measures. Because if other people are adapting to it, then you may have to, not just saying follow the crowd here, but you may have to adapt to it as well, because it can make your practice and your ability to practice law significantly more efficient.
And I think that in speaking of the legal profession, more applicable probably also to people who are like solo practitioners who don't necessarily have access to all the resources and have a lot of money. This could be something that is an inexpensive solution to help those individuals out.
Yep.
Necessarily, maybe they don't have the mentorship, maybe they don't have the access to the libraries or the resources or whatever. It's something to explore, to say, am I doing my job properly? Am I getting this right? Am I on the right track? It's a good tool to get to that answer, at least to give you that peace of mind. Enough about that. I did watch a movie. Speaking of our movie review.
What movie was it?
It's called Jexi. Jexi.
What is it?
And
who's in it?
So it stars Adam Devine. It's hilarious. And it is about a Siri essentially, but it's a phone virtual assistant.
Oh, okay.
Who takes over his life, basically.
Isn't that the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix?
I don't know. No, is it?
Well, he falls in love with her.
Well, and so this guy, the AI fell in love with him, and it was actively blocking him from his relationship with a real human.
Did you just ruin the movie for people?
Oh, crap. Spoilers. Anyway, I won't say any more about the movie. You baited me into that. But the reality is, or the alternative reality is, that Jexi is a virtual assistant who, for example, he wanted to order fast food and she said she ordered him a salad.
Oh, get out.
And was like, no, you're too fat for this. I'm getting you a salad. You order the same thing all the time. And she was being saucy and would retort to him. So go watch it. I give it a 4 out of 5 at least.
Raving review, 4 out of 5.
I'm better than Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, sure.
You'll find out if you leave a comment and we do movie reviews.
That's true. Yeah, you know what? We need to do movie reviews.
I think we need to.
I think I'd crush you with movie reviews.
You watch more movies than me, I think.
Yeah,
but this one, good watch. I'll put a link to that in the thing below, maybe.
Sure.
Why not, right? I think it's on Netflix. I can't remember. Yeah, so I think that wraps up AI.
Yeah, if we're ending with AI movies, I think we're good.
I have nothing else to talk about the law, so.
Yeah. We haven't made a podcast in a while. We're dedicated to making some in a more timely fashion because life gets in the way and, things
probably
happen.
missed us too. I mean, I get it. We're missable, so, I get it.
I get it too. Anyways, I'm Matt Butler.
Darren Chowan, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.